Okay guys, cooking a Boston broil that has been trimmed from the fat. Now I'm washing my hands with cold water and soap to clean any germs that are on my hands off. To dry my hands. Then I'm going to dry my meat with some paper towel. And my meat has been sliced. The Boston broil is what it is called. The Boston broil has been sliced into 3 large pieces. I will pat it down with some dry paper towel to make sure that it's moist for my seasoning. As it sits here on the cutting board, I'm going to pat it down, make sure that it can absorb its seasoning. Then I will season it, and then I will throw it into a dish with olive oil and onion, and I will chop those. Any fat that's left I'm going to trim off. Lightly trimming off some fat. There's some still on that I want for flavor, which gives it a pretty good amount of flavor. Then I also want it to be lean and healthy for us to eat. Now I will begin to season. So I have here black pepper. So I got my black pepper, kosher salt, and olive oil. I will use all of those to cook with. Here's my onion. I'm going to unwrap. It's already cut in half. When you cut the onion that is whole, you cut down the core, which is laying down, and then you cut off the sides, and you'll be done. So here's the onion, here's the olive oil. Light coating of olive oil, don't need much. Then I grab a saucer for my onion. Okay, and I'll start with my kosher salt. Sprinkle some kosher salt onto the meat. And then I will press the salt into the meat. Press the salt into the meat, absorbing all the flavor of the salt into the meat. That way it locks in and you can taste the salt when you press in the salt into the meat. And when you're cutting your meat, you want to go against the grain of the meat. Okay, then I'll take to the other side, try to scrape it onto the cutting board to absorb any other salt, rubbing off any extra salt and onto it. Sometimes I sprinkle both sides, sometimes I don't. If it's something like this, I'll try to sprinkle both sides, especially big large pieces like this to soak in the flavor of the salt. And even sometimes I'll cut right down the middle to even out the pieces so that we have more to eat later on for the next day or so. Not too much salt. You don't want your meat to be overly salted. just right though. Just right. And then with the olive oil, it makes the flavor better. The longer we cook it, the more the meat is able to cook and become tender. And even when I cook turkey, chicken, I cook it in a crock pot all day, it'll fall apart. Same difference as an oven. You let it cook on low in an oven all day, it'll cook until it falls apart and becomes nice and tender, which is the goal. Okay, now I'll divide my pieces into a dish this big with some olive oil in it. Not too big, just enough. Two on the edge to look like this, and one directly into the middle. Okay. And then I also have my oven to 355 degrees. Let it preheat for 5 to 10 minutes. However long it normally takes your oven to preheat. Washing my hands again to be safe. Always keep your hands clean, fingernails trimmed, so you don't get dirt into your food, excuse me. Okay. Now we'll dry the cutting board a little bit and begin to cut the onion and dice it. Half of an onion, not too much. When you cut your onion, you don't want slices that are too big, but just enough. Just enough for you to eat and enjoy, to cover the beef itself, because the onion will lock in flavor of the beef. And so when we're cooking, we want that onion to be flavored into the meat. And most people would just use a simple onion powder, which is okay. But I like to use fresh onion if I can, and dice it very carefully. Normally some people would use a bigger knife. I'm just using a fillet knife because it's here with me. Keep your fingers back, tucked in. Everyone knows that, of course. Even Gordon Ramsay can tell you that. And the last thing besides onion that I will put onto the London broil, besides olive oil on top and on bottom, onion on top, I'll also put a spoonful of butter. And the butter will lock in flavor. Give it some taste, and then I will let it cook for, I want to say, about 45 minutes to an hour. Here's the black pepper. I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit on top, not too much. Olive oil, again, on top. Light coating, not too much. Just one big circle on top of the onions and around the meat. Then I'm going to grab some butter. Normally you could throw in carrots or something kind of tasty on the side, or you can just dice up some carrots and put it in a separate dish and throw it into the oven with it. You use some country crock butter. Normally I prefer Kerrygold, the best butter you can get. I believe it's Irish butter. Big scoop full of butter, not too big, right on top. Put it right there in the middle, so that way it can spread throughout your meat. Then your meat has the onions and olive oil, salt, and pepper. Normally I'd like to use some Tony Chachere's to spice it up just a little bit, give it some good Creole flavor. Now, take this, pop it right into the oven. And my oven's at 355, like I said. We're gonna bake it from 45 minutes to about an hour. I'm gonna put it on the bottom rack, right in the middle of the oven. Then when it's done, I will come back to see you.